Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, because I believe that happiness extends beyond the political crisis in which we are now enveloped. And I do believe the only way we get through this is together and with brutal honesty about what is happening in front of us, and also how we might be contributing to the sense of hopelessness or the sense of false hope, like trying to find that right balance of honesty without for the purpose of trying to, as you see on Twitter and other media, the kind of clickbait, sensationalist hopelessness that sometimes draws eyeballs but also destroys our democracy. I think now more than ever, what I want to do here on Gen Taub Live is make sure that everything I bring to you is not only well thought through, but fact checked. This is not an off the cuff show in the sense that I don't just sit here and talk about my opinions, which of course I share, but I make sure that my opinions are grounded in facts. And I let you know, hey, here is something that was said. I show you the clip or I show you the screenshot and I share my view, my opinion. You're never going to find someone here who is peddling conspiracy theories or stereotypes or hate. My goal is not to divide, but to call people into this conversation. And speaking of calling people into the conversation, friends, I'm feeling really bad for JD Vance. I mean, not really bad. That was my attempt at Monday morning sarcasm. If you can see this, this is the thumbnail for today. And I want to know, is Donald Trump ghosting his vice president? What you see here on the left is a photograph with the background removed of Donald Trump and his best bros on his airplane. And you can see Donald's in the back. In the foreground to his right is none other than Elon Musk, our shadow president. And then across from Donald is his big smiley son, Cocaine Mitch. No, I mean Don Jr. And to Don Jr.'s left, perhaps ideologically or perhaps left over because he is not looking like he's happy to eat his McDonald's burger, is RFK Jr. And leaning in from the outside is Mike Johnson, who is supposedly going to make everything in Donald Trump's dreams happen. There is no one here from the Senate in this photo, so we shall see if Donald gets what he wants. And off to my side is poor brokenhearted JD Vance. Now, I don't know if JD Vance sat home by his cell phone wondering if he would get the call to join the best Trump buddies on the airplane to dine on some Mickey Dees. And I don't know if he looks longingly at the video from the UFC fight the other night where Donald Trump was also surrounded by his favorite playmates and gave a big bear hug and back pat to Joe Rogan. All I know is JD Vance hasn't been seen around a lot. Perhaps he's speaking to Donald and he's there, but he's told, don't be in the photograph. And remember, Donald Trump has said, I don't talk to JD. So JD Vance is the vice president, and I know that he was enlisted, or so we say, so has been reported, I don't know, by Peter Thiel, the tech guy of PayPal fame, I believe, is where he made his fortune, and who is often backing certain candidates who subscribe to his ideological preferences. But it seems like Elon Musk is calling the shots. And here's the deal. As we talked about last week, Donald Trump is getting a little annoyed with Elon. The honeymoon is over, but he can't shake the guy. So here's a fabulous photo also from that from the airplane. And here's what Ron Filipowski, who is from Midas, had to say. Trump's face says, how the hell am I going to get rid of this guy? Because it doesn't seem like he wants to go home. You look at that grimace. There is Elon Musk mocking Donald's two thumbs up. Donald doesn't like to be, or pantomiming, I should say. Donald does not like to be mocked. And you also have in that photo, if you can see it, an open bottle of Diet Coke. which I find a little troubling. Now, I don't want to read too much into this photo, but I think I like to shut the bottles of soda I'm drinking so all the bubbles don't go out. And, not a large detail of criticism. I got more on Elon Musk. Okay, so Elon Musk is, as you probably can imagine, running the show because he is a major grifter. And did I remind you how much last week that Elon Musk got paid from Tesla? It was $46 billion, right? And that was ultimately approved in August of this year. $46 billion was their final number. And you would think, I don't know what the composition of that 46 billion. Maybe some is stock, maybe some is direct grants, maybe some is deferred grants of stock. Maybe, I don't know. I'm assuming he can borrow against his holdings and have so much cash beyond anyone's imagination to support whatever causes or lifestyles he wants to personally indulge. And yet, that is not enough, because it's not just about the money, right? It's about the domination, and more money is more domination. And let's get to one of the recent cabinet picks. Elon Musk is lining his pockets by who is on the cabinet. Now, I think I need to blow this up. You see here Eric Lipton, who is one of the best New York Times reporters in the follow public corruption category in New York and elsewhere. And what you see here, and by the way, Eric Lipton is over on Blue Sky, and we will get to Blue Sky in a moment. So Trump is to name Brendan Carr, who is actually on the FCC now, but he's a commissioner, but he's going to name him to be the chairman of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. And some people, and I know you probably can't, I'm going to pull back. You probably can't read all these details. I'm going to pull back on this in a moment. So the FCC isn't just the cabinet, isn't just the agency that deals with the public airwaves in the traditional sense. Remember when Newton Minow was, you probably don't, and I don't, because I was probably not born yet or was a child, but it's famous. Newton Minow, famously, when he was head of the Federal Communications Commission under JFK and television was in its infancy, he was saying it is a vast wasteland. And I think that subsequent to his saying that is when public television developed and fabulous shows like Sesame Street, so that when the eyeballs of children are drawn into the screen, into the light, they would actually become educated and entertained at the same time, as opposed to whatever schlock was on the television at the time. One small footnote, Newt Minow had 3 daughters, Martha Minow, Nell Minow, and Mary Minow. Why am I mentioning this? Because Martha Minow is a mentor of mine. She's a law professor and was recently the dean of Harvard Law School. Another mentor, her sister, Nell Minow, who's a corporate governance guru and is always on top of pay-for-failure packages like Elon Musk got. And then finally, Mary Minow is a fabulous librarian I have not met. Now, if I keep saying the name Minow, are you thinking about the SS Minnow, the boat from Gilligan's Island? Well, you should be. The producers of Gilligan's Island were so annoyed with Newt Minow and his moralizing about the quality of television programs that they named the boat for that 3-hour tour, the 3-hour tour that everyone went on and stayed on that island. I don't know how many episodes. But yes, the SS Minnow was named after him, even though it was misspelled. Okay, because Minnow was spelled Minow, the name of Newt Minow. But where does that get us? That gets us to the FCC, very powerful position. And so I'm going to blow this up so you can see this. Okay, this is probably a bit better for you. So this is the announcement. May seem innocuous to you, but it's not. This benefits Elon Musk, our shadow president grifter. If Donald Trump thought he could grift, no one is cashing in on big dirty money better than Elon Musk. Okay, here's what Donald Trump said. I am pleased to announce that Commissioner Brendan Carr will be chairman of the FCC. Commissioner Carr currently serves as the senior Republican on the FCC. Before that, he was the general counsel. He's been confirmed by the U.S. Senate 3 times. In other words, this is an instant appointment. And they say he is Donald wrote, or someone wrote for him, that he was a warrior for free speech. And he has, I'm going to move this for a second, and that he has fought against the regulatory lawfare that has stifled Americans' freedom and held back our economy. He'll make sure the FCC delivers for us. Okay, what does that mean? Brendan Carr, it turns out, by delivering, has had very, if you see this slide, close connections with Starlink and X. Those are both companies. X, of course, is Twitter, and Starlink is a satellite company run by Elon Musk. And so he criticized Brazil. He said, this is in September of this year. Brazil's decision to ban X and free Starlink assets are part of a growing crackdown on free speech, but they also violate Brazil's own laws. Today, I wrote my regulatory counterparts in Brazil to address these unlawful actions. He is reaching out as a commissioner, he wasn't the chairman, to foreign leaders or foreign regulators on behalf of Elon Musk. This is in September. Then in October, he said, I want to express my thanks and appreciation to Starlink for the remarkable work they're doing to help connect Americans in Hurricane Helene's wake. And then he said, importantly, this new direct-to-cell service is separate from the traditional satellite flat panel dish service that Starlink offers. Okay, so look, I think it's probably a good thing that people during hurricane times have access to service on their phones through satellites. I think that's not really the question. The question is, why was this guy selected? And the answer is because that's who Elon Musk wanted in that position. And Elon Musk is not just cashing in, but he's spreading his wings and making threats to the public. And let me before I get to that, he's also, of course, spreading lies and propaganda on Twitter. It's not, this is, let me just show you this one. I love this guy. He's a conservative law professor who is, straight down, I shouldn't say straight down the middle. I mean, he is truthful, accurate. We don't always agree on everything, but he is an honest broker and not a phony. And he has a great sense of humor. Okay, so here is someone, Mike Lee, the senator, had tweeted out, this all happened like November 17th, so this is yesterday. Mike Lee tweets out, libs love war, meaning liberals love war, and war facilitates bigger government. Okay, and Elon Musk, quote, tweets that true. Oren jumps in with a fact check, and he said, vote on the authorization to use military force in Iraq, September 2002, in the House of Representatives. He notes Republicans, 215 yes, 6 no. Again, 215 is the vast majority of House Republicans. What about the Democrats? Only 81 voted to use military force in Iraq, and 126 voted no. And, my response to my friend, my colleague, my academic colleague, Oren Kerr, on this one was, there you go again, using facts and logic. And I was being sarcastic, but also complimentary, because we are going to be using a lot of facts and logic here. And we are going to call out nonsense. And we're going to say when something is inaccurate and misleading. And I'm going to even try to do so without a lot of profanity, because I think it cheapens profanity if I use it too often. Now, I could say it's inappropriate, but this is fully appropriate for a show like ours. But again, I don't want to weaken the language. Okay, so that's Elon Musk. He is a liar. He's a manipulator. We also know now, I don't know if you're seeing the reports, that Elon Musk absolutely began throttling Twitter. And it was the day, I forgot the specific day, but I remember looking at the calendar yesterday, and I know what it was, July 13th, this summer, the same day that Donald Trump was shot or the bullet grazed his ear on stage in Pennsylvania, was the day Elon Musk around that time had endorsed Donald. And that is when he began to throttle Twitter to completely amplify the voices of supporters of Donald Trump and MAGA, and to begin to throttle and silence other critical voices. And this is reporting that we have seen. And before I go into a little more detail about Elon Musk, namely his spreading his wings and his tail feathers, acting like he is actually in charge because he is pulling some strings, I want to say this, and it's absolutely important to me. I believe that Donald Trump was shot by that kid. I do believe the kid was aiming at him. I am not a conspiracy theorist. Do I think he was terribly injured? No. I think some shrapnel grazed his ear. But it is ridiculous to suggest that this was a setup, that this guy was paid to go shoot Donald Trump. And I've heard people I respect say that, and it really is offensive to me, similar to the people who I respect who claim that 9/11 was a hoax. Okay, so yeah, let's not go there. Okay, back to Elon Musk, because you know what? You know why? Let me just show you. Do you know why he's ghosting JD? Because it's kind of like his new guy is Elon Musk and JD. Everyone said, oh, JD will temper everything. JD Vance is actually intelligent. He has a degree from Yale Law School. He can write incomplete sentences. And people thought maybe he was just waiting in the wings so he could become president. Well, Donald Trump doesn't want anyone more intelligent than him around him. And he's always surrounded by people who are almost always surrounded by people who are more intelligent than him. But the people who will suck up to him were the ones around him. And of course, he can't shake Elon Musk because Elon Musk owns him, almost literally. Okay, so what is Elon Musk doing? He is making threats, and he is echoing Donald's threats. This came out on November 16th, this Saturday. He said there will be consequences for those who pushed foreign interference hoaxes. The hammer of justice is coming. Now, that's not great. That seems like a super big threat. And, my friend Oren, I don't have the screenshot, said, wow, that was a quick leap, essentially, he said. That was a quick leap from free speech absolutist Elon, and the hammer of justice is coming for people who expressed their views about foreign interference. And let me tell you, foreign interference in the election is not a hoax. There's actually evidence in indictments from 2016. There's actually evidence recently, not from indictments, but from the government, right? We know, I believe, the FBI announcements. I believe the Department of Justice recent pronouncement. And in fact, I think these were maybe even indictments as well this season. So these aren't hoaxes. And even if they were, let's just be clear. Elon Musk believes in free speech. He doesn't believe in shutting down anyone's hoax or conspiracy theory. That's why he claimed, I shouldn't say believes, he claimed that. And that's why he has the community comments. So I guess he has a double standard, or I guess it was all bullshit. And he took over Twitter, not just to trash Twitter, but to control the propaganda leading into the election. But I have to say that whole hammer of justice thing, it reminded me, my mind, because I'm someone who was a child in the 1970s and 80s. And when I was a little child, one of the most popular songs that I would listen to was, because my father would play it on the guitar, and other songs that Peter, Paul, and Mary covered, If I Had a Hammer. Now, I know that song was written by Pete Seeger, and no, this is not going to be a sing-along because I don't think you want that, and I don't think I want that first thing Monday morning. But, if I had a hammer and I had a bell and I had a song to sing all over this land, I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, blah, 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 blah. But one of the lyrics is the hammer of justice, the bell of freedom, right? I don't think Peter, Paul, and Mary thought the hammer of justice was going to be some bullpeen hammer that you hammer against the head of someone that you do not support or that you use as a weapon, the Department of Justice, to go after people who were expressing their free speech rights and actually, in this case, defaming nobody. But that is Elon Musk. And in all seriousness, let's talk about retribution. Okay, there are people Donald Trump has referred to as the enemy within, and there is a recent effort also underway to supposedly court-martial people in the military and subject them to the most extreme possible punishments for their involvement in the withdrawal from Afghanistan, a plan that Donald Trump set out and put in place and that Joe Biden's administration simply executed. So let's deal with both. Let's listen to, and this is really good, let's listen to right now, I thought I just had him, Adam Schiff, talk about his concerns for retribution from Donald Trump or his lackeys.
And it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
Do you think that he was talking about using the military against you? And how concerned are you about retribution?
Clearly, that's what he was talking about. Would he go to that length with the military, essentially fulfill some kind of a unconstitutional order? I would hope the military would have more independence than that. Historically, the military has stood up to civilian authority where civilian authority has suggested, as in his first administration, unconstitutional acts. Look, I'm not going to be intimidated by anything he says, by anything he does. If I was, I wouldn't be on your show. I'm going to do my responsibility in the Senate. Californians are expecting me, first and foremost, to try to work and get things done, work across the aisle, where the president wants.
Okay, so that is Senator Schiff, or I should say, yes, Senator Adam Schiff right there. Okay, so let's hear from incoming Senator Elisa Slotkin from Michigan, because she's responding to the military purge when she was on the weekend show yesterday.
It's also said that any general that was involved in any of the DEI woke crap has got to go. Do you expect Donald Trump to fire top generals who he considers woke, or those close to former chairman Mark Milley?
I mean, I don't think you have to interpret.
Arrest?
Yeah, I don't think you have to interpret anything. I think they've been very clear that they're putting together some sort of panel that's going to look at generals, people who have served their nation their entire lives over multiple administrations, Democrat and Republican, in combat. They are now openly talking about dismissing them like some sort of kangaroo court. You can imagine the stress in the Pentagon about that, but also on the future of who we are as a military, right? Our military and the role of the military is in the Constitution for a reason, and I think we're really at risk of politicizing the military in a way that we can't put the genie back in the bottle.
But there have been.
Okay, and as you know, she has a background in intelligence. She served our country, and she is being quite serious about this. Okay, now, let's also talk about Donald Trump's cabinet. Now, we've talked about some of the picks already, and I think I've got a photo of his team so far, and this is what the Trump administration is starting to look like. I'm going to go across the top. On the left, Peter Hegseth. This is the guy who was pushed out of the National Guard at a point where, I should say it more clearly, he wasn't dismissed, but they pushed him aside. They wouldn't let him attend the inauguration in 2021 because it became revealed that his tattoos, not the ones that you see, the cross on his stomach, but something on his arm, and the language indicated it was some language about the Crusades, and it is associated with people like the Proud Boys. Hegseth is the guy who is on Fox and Friends, and we saw him throwing an axe. No, this was seriously a fun exercise. It was not out of anger, but it was so ill thought through that he threw it over the bullseye, and it hit a drummer's drum. Luckily, did not hurt him. Then we have Kristi Noem, who is the governor of South Dakota. I think I'm thinking Department of Interior, but yeah, there she is. We have Mike Huckabee, who is going to be ambassador from the U.S. to Israel. What a disaster. He has no interest in any kind of two-state solution. He will not even recognize the existence of a Palestinian state. He is the worst possible thing for the Middle East. I'm going to keep going across. There's Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in the middle, who have a pretend cabinet, the Department of Government Efficiency, which isn't really a department. It's kind of like Donald Trump's fake university. It's not real. They will have those jobs. And I think Susie Wiles thought that this would keep them out of Trump's hair. It won't. Elon is stuck to him like white on rice. We have Tulsi Gabbard, who is supposedly going to be the director of national intelligence. More on that soon. RFK Jr., head of Health and Human Services, a vaccine denier, Looney Tunes, who somehow thinks that tobacco is fine. He was caught buying the other day on camera some chewing tobacco, which, of course, I don't know. Should we bring back tobacco and get rid of vaccines? Who knows? So you've got Doug Burnham. No, I think he might be Department of Interior. I apologize. I didn't have Noam in the right role. And we go on to some other positions. Of course, Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff, Elise Stefanik, she is ambassador to the UN, Marco Rubio, Department of State, and of course, Matt Gaetz. Can you flip and believe it? He is still on tap to be our Attorney General. Will they ever release that report? It has to come out. The House Ethics Committee has no scruples. Speaking of which, as to that cabinet, let's take a listen to the Speaker of the House try to defend why he is not going to allow this report to go public. The report that was supposed to be released on Friday, but somehow because Matt Gaetz resigned on Wednesday, he is dodging. And let's hear what Mike Johnson, who's supposedly a really devout man, had to say.
Man of faith, you're a man of God, you're a man of family. With some of these nominees, Gaetz, Hegseth, RFK Jr., I wonder, does it matter anymore for Republicans to think?
Let me pause for a second. I forgot to mention that there were allegations of sexual assault against Hegseth, and he settled those claims. Of course, he has said they were untrue, but he just paid the woman money. And there are numerous claims of bad behavior, including related to sexual aggression against RFK Jr. Okay.
Think of leaders as people who are moral in their personal lives. Is that still important to the Republican Party?
Sure. It's an important issue for anyone in leadership. This is what I'll say about the nominees that the president has put forward, is that they are persons who will shake up the status quo. And I think what the American people have believe and what they've delivered with the mandate in this election is a demand that we shake up the status quo. It's not working for the American people. So use the term in the opening about how these are disruptors. They are. I think that's by design. Any president has the right to name their own cabinet.
That's kind of not really an answer. They are disruptors? Did I just hear that? I just have to hear that again.
Sure. It's an important issue for anyone in leadership. This is what I'll say about the nominees that the president has put forward, is that they are persons who will shake up the status quo. And I think what the American people have believe and what they've delivered with the mandate in this election.
Oh, Okay, and I do see the connection to Jesus. I will say, in fairness, having read the Sermon on the Mount and I guess, notes, descriptions of what Jesus said back in the day, he was trying to shake up the status quo, in that he wanted a system where there was less disdain for the poor and there was more equality and less selfishness in the world. But I don't think that these cabinet nominees really are in line with what Mike Johnson would think would be what he claims, I would think, is his personal belief system. Okay, so let's actually hear from someone who can answer the question, specifically Spanberger.
Like Gabbard,
hold on.
who
Abigail Spanberger, talking about the Tulsi Gabbard nomination in particular. Let's listen to someone who wants to speak truth.
Then we have someone like Gabbard, who, as a sitting member of Congress, went to Syria and sat down with Bashar al-Assad shortly after he used chemical weapons against his own civilian population, which is out of step and out of alignment with U.S. policy, first and foremost, out of step and out of alignment with the protocols that are in place to ensure that our ambassadors and our Secretary of State and all those who work in the diplomatic realm, let alone the defense realm, are not having sort of lone actors going to a foreign country, meeting with a authoritarian dictator who uses chemical weapons on his own people, and then comes home and says, oh, if the United States would just meet with him, surely we could get this all worked out. Then Gabbard is also someone who time and time and time again has trafficked in conspiracy theories, has used almost word for word the propaganda put out by the Kremlin and Russian state TV.
Okay, that's Abigail Spanberger. But how about our friend Elisa Slotkin? She has something to say on this topic as well.
Is she qualified for that job from what you know right now?
Again,
your own experience at the CIA, she's going to be director of DNI.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I was literally one of the first employees when we stood up the Director of National Intelligence Office, and I have real concerns. Again, people have to be of a certain character and certain qualification. Because if you have the wrong people in these jobs, it's not just a parlor game.
What concerns you about her? And certainly there's been reporting about her past statements about Russia, about Ukraine.
I just need to know that the people who are in these jobs are not going to be guided by politics and what someone tells them they think they should be seeing in the intelligence or in the defense picture, but what is actually the truth on the ground. Speaking truth to power is one of the most important things the intelligence community does. And if you have someone in there who feels more beholden to telling the president what he wants to hear, I got a real problem with that.
That's pretty basic. The facts on the ground, not a yes man and not someone who's having someone else whisper in their ear. You don't even have to have a direct contact with someone to understand what their values are, right? You can just see what propaganda they're putting out and repeat it. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous to think that Tulsi Gabbard would even be nominated. Now, a little more. Jim Hines of Connecticut speaking about, I think he's a congressman from Connecticut, and he's going to speak out here again on the Sunday news shows about the cabinet picks.
Member on the Intelligence Committee. She never served on that kind of committee. Do you think experience is necessary? Is she fit for the job?
Margaret, how far we have come that on a major news show, the question we're examining is experience necessary for one of the most powerful positions in the land? Of course it's necessary. It's a little bit like our obsession right now with the Ethics Committee report on Matt Gaetz. How is it that this is what we're focusing on? Matt Gaetz is by any standard completely unqualified to be the Attorney General, and yet we're sort of focused on this, cherry on the cupcake of the ethics report.
I'm so glad Jim Himes said that. And by the way, a couple of years ago, I don't know how many, I met Jim Himes in a green room, and I can't remember whether it was CNN or MSNBC, quite honestly, but no, it was CNN. And he was lovely. He's a very smart, gracious person. Almost everyone is. I think I've been down this road. The only person who was a complete jerk was Jeffrey Toobin. I only say it because it's true. He was the rudest person, and I've never met a ruder person on a set before. That's just a separate issue. Okay, guys. So I got one little bit of extra news before we get to Crazy Town. And here this is. This is pretty exciting. You know how we've been talking here about blue sky. And I'm somebody, and I think you know this, and I'm going to be talking to you about Jay Graber. She's the CEO of Blue Sky. So let me start this up before we go through this. I tried to completely leave Twitter. I tried to in the fall of 2022 when Elon Musk first took over. And I was a huge champion of Mastodon. I went over there and I tried, but I found that I couldn't get the one, yes, there was community there. Yes, I was able to understand the different servers. That wasn't my issue. My issue was I felt like it wasn't a space that really wanted political news, and it didn't really have an algorithm to allow me to see things that were popular among people that had the same interests as me. And I tried Threads, which is similar to Twitter Space, and Threads. Threads is operated by the Facebook people. Or Meta, and Threads made a deliberate decision to be apolitical. So again, it was hard for me to see news, which is a lot of what news and snarky commentary, which is what I want to see, and also build those funny connections. It didn't really have a good searchability or a good algorithm. It was throttling in a direction away from what I wanted to see. I mean, I've tried everything. I think I even did. I'm trying to think of the other post. And at the end of the day, nothing really fully took for me. And I kept trying to do Threads while I was still doing Twitter. Well, I had also joined Blue Sky. I think when at first I was one of the people who got an invitation, I joined it, but I really wasn't hanging out until just this week. And it has been incredible because Blue Sky is now like what Twitter used to be. It really has a good algorithm. You can find what you need. You can find the people there that you want to follow, because you can either, if you follow, for example, if you love white collar crime and you follow me on Blue Sky, you can click on my starter pack and you can see either handpick from it or take the whole pack of like 20 people who are white collar crime reporters. Or Mark Elias just joined Blue Sky, and he has his starter pack, and I happen to be on it, which is very nice. But you can just go over there. I swear to you, if you're someone who used to like Twitter, please check out Blue Sky. Now, I've mentioned that before. And so I guess this is one quick thing. My obligatory, here's my Blue Sky handle. It's just at gentob.bsky.social. There's an app, just like you can have an app on your phone. You can also use it on your desktop. Okay, but let's get back to what's exciting. Twitter isn't tanking, but people are leaving in droves. And I think one of the big changes wasn't just the election. It was a couple days ago, Twitter announced, or X announced, that they were going to change their terms of service and be able to use all of the information and images you put up there to feed their AI, their artificial intelligence model. And I think that really was the final straw for a lot of people. Now, for me, I understand that other websites do the same thing, and it's disturbing to me, and steal our copyrighted information, including people's books that they write, for example, and so on. So that wasn't necessarily the last straw for me, but I thought, you know what, all my friends are departing. And so really, it's unbelievable over there. Please try it. I think you'll like it if you are someone who liked Twitter. But let me tell you why it's also good. It's also good because they are crushing, finally crushing Elon Musk. So this is a piece, the New York Times had a piece out yesterday. And the bonus of all of this is that the CEO of Blue Sky happens to be a woman, Jay Graber. Now, I want to point out to you that I was skeptical about the ownership. I know it was started by Jack Dorsey of Twitter, and there are all these venture capital people in there, maybe some who you might be skeptical of their other ventures, but right now it's a hell of a lot better than Twitter. Okay, so here's the article Mike Isaac wrote yesterday, and I'm going to read part of it to you. So in February 2023, okay, so this is a little over like a year and a half ago, right? This is right after, a few months after Elon took over. So in February 2023, a half dozen techies introduced a social network prototype in an invitation-only launch. They deliberately debuted their creation, Blue Sky, with little fanfare so they could closely manage its growth. But lately, it has been anything but slow and steady. Over the past week, Blue Sky's growth has exploded, more than doubling to 15 million plus users as people seek alternatives to X, that is Twitter, Facebook, and Threads. Guys, right now it's up to 19 million. It has rocketed to the top of Apple's and Google's app stores as the most downloaded free app. Its ascent has been so rapid that the company has been forced to grow up practically overnight. Blue Sky's 20 full-time employees have been working around the clock to deal with the issues that come with hypergrowth. Site outages, glitches in the code, and content moderation issues. Most importantly, they have been trying to keep early users happy as new members flooded in. And this is Jay Graber. She's 33, the CEO. We as a team take pride in our ability to scale quickly, but there's always some growing pains. She added that the app, which is still dwarfed by Facebook, Instagram, and X, was adding more than 1 million new users a day. I mean, guys, it's insane. I think I have close to 70,000 users there, like practically overnight. Okay, so Blue Sky is surging amid upheaval in the social media world after Elon Musk bought Twitter in 2022. He morphed it into X, changing many of its functions and alienating some of its most loyal users. Threads, an app similar to X that Meta introduced last year, relies mostly on an opaque algorithmic curation that reduces politics in people's feeds. This has caused some people to head to other networks, including Blue Sky, to discuss hot button social issues. And finally, so Blue Sky was initially financed from a grant, with a grant from Twitter under Dorsey. And then Mr. Musk, meaning Elon, cut ties with the Blue Sky team after he bought Twitter. And then Blue Sky later raised more than 23 million in 2 rounds of venture funding from private investors. So Ms. Graber is positioning Blue Sky as a David taking on Goliath by differentiating itself further. On Friday, the company said it would never use people's posts to train generative AI technology, a contrast to practices at Meta, X, and Google. I'm pretty excited about this network. I'm not being paid to promote it. I'm just wanting a place that's not a Nazi cesspool, where it's perfectly appropriate to block someone who is creating problems for you. Or I have not yet seen, although I probably haven't looked far, people saying Hitler is right in response to my comments. I have not yet seen overt misogyny, and I'm seeing a way to be engaged in conversations that are complicated and that are fun. And when you say good morning, there isn't a lot of sarcasm, and I kind of love it. Okay, so friends, that gets us to Crazy Town. And before I do that, I want to remind you to please like and subscribe. It helps. Please comment. I know you do that. But if you're watching now, not live, please throw a comment in. Tell me what you like. I changed the format around. I'm not doing the top 10. I did that temporarily, but I felt like there was a lot of pressure. And I got some feedback that people liked this more loose format where there wasn't this sort of one after another item. We just cover the news. You don't have to count. This is just what we do here. Okay, so let's go. has to, of course, given our topic today, relate to the absolutely craziest take you will hear so far about Donald Trump's cabinet picks. And this is from a familiar face, Monica Crowley. Let's add her to the stage. You won't believe it.
Great again. Every single cabinet pick that he has announced so far is incredibly accomplished and strong on their own. As a team, this really is a dream team. We have not seen this kind of talent pool since the founding fathers.
What the actual F? Oh my God. I feel like I have to play that again with crazy town music over. This is how we're going to walk out, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Making America great again. Every single cabinet pick that he has announced so far is incredibly accomplished and strong on their own. As a team, this really is a dream team. We have not seen this kind of talent pool since the founding fathers.